Welcome back to Straight Facts on Tuesday. I'm joined by Dan Potts. LB's with me. How are you, boys?
Hot, man. Really hot. I've been trying to cool down for quite some time. I went to the gym, and it's probably the worst thing to do when it's like 26 degrees outside. And thought after my workout, I'd go treat myself to a bit of like a steam room and sauna. I'm sitting in there thinking, what am I doing?
Hang
it's
on.
like 28 degrees outside. What's going on here?
You went to a sauna. What kind of sauna did you go to, mate?
It's a very nice sauna, mate. Trust me, you'd have enjoyed it, Terry. Your clientele was sitting with me. No, I'm joking. It was very, very nice. But you know when you like can't cool down then for like an hour. As I had a show with Curtis and a show on my channel, I'm just sitting there leaking in my room thinking, wow, it's so bloody baking up here. So anyway, but apart from that,
when I was at City Extra, right, we used to do it in like a purpose-built shed. We had like a studio purpose-built for the content. And the previous shed that we used to be in was so cold it had no insulation. So when he built it, he whacked loads of insulation in. That was great in the winter, but in the summer, it was absolutely scorching. And it got to the point, it was that bad, I had to go to HSS Hire and hire out an industrial aircon unit. Yeah. You had to go and pick it up, like massive thing, like 5 foot, take it in, and then it had like this massive pipe thing. You put the aircon unit in the you shut all the doors, shut all the windows, and then you put the pipe outside, and it would just cool the thing that was so nice. And then you went outside, go to the pipe, put your hand next to the pipe, it was like red hot. And that was the air coming in from the shed. It's wild, man. This country ain't built for hot weather, though, innit?
No,
let's be honest.
It's not.
Like these people, yeah, in different countries, like you don't understand, innit? Like these people don't understand. Like this country is not built at all for hot weather. We have no aircon in any homes or anywhere. No one knows anything. It's just grim. It's
every building in England is built and designed to keep all the heat in. And I can guarantee you this: England's rarely ever as hot as California or Texas. But I guarantee you an average English home inside the building during the middle of the summer is hotter than anywhere in Texas, anywhere in terms of a home, anywhere in Texas or anywhere in California. It's basically we live in ovens. We live in an oven, right? And maybe you can. I'm very lucky with mine though, because I can open this door here and the one that goes into my garage, and it creates a little bit of a breeze. But then the problem is you get the kids coming in, the dog wants to jump up and say hello, and I can't be dealing with it. Do you know what I mean? You know what I mean? I say look after the kids. Do you know what I mean? Go look after the kids. So but Luke, thank you for hitting the like. Loads to talk about today. Loads of stuff. We're obviously going to be getting the boys. We're not going to completely preview El Midoff because there's going to be another show before that as an example. We're going to take a little bit of a look back at the weekend, but I do feel like the transfer stories are starting to pick up pace. And I think a big part of that is because there's this window before the World Club Cup. So Cities and Chelsea's, Real Madrid are trying to get business done in that period. There's going to be, honestly, boys, you think you're going to be quiet this summer, cancel your fucking holidays. This transfer window, I think it's going to be amazing. Genuinely. Especially if you like transfers, it's going to be crazy. We're touching on some of the stories on that. And of course, want to get you, the viewers, your thoughts and opinions and everything else. Y'all will not survive in Texas with the humidity. But it's the indoors. You've got aircon, bruv. Being outside and a problem when it's hot, everyone loves it. It's when you're in your house and there's no breeze. It's horrible. Trust me, Jack. Trust me, my bro. I've known a lot of Americans in my life that have come to the UK and have all said the same thing. Your summers, your heat's nothing. They're here for half a day and they're like, this is hell. This is hell. It's literally the only nice place to be in England when it's stinking hot indoors is a supermarket. That's it. Everywhere else is nasty, bruv. Trust me, Joshua. I hear you. First story I wanted to start off with today is a report from Brazil, boys. And there's a little bit of Chelsea about this, but I wanted to get your thoughts if this is smart or not by Man United. It states that Man United's deal for Matheus Cunha is expected to be for around 80 million euros. There's an additional 6 million euros added on as Manchester United want to spread the payments. It says a verbal agreement is close and the final stages of the personal terms are underway. So there is a feeling that the deal is fairly imminent for him to become a Man United player. But what's your take on United doing a little bit like what Chelsea did with Enzo Fernandes, paying slightly above the buyout clause so they can pay the money over a 5-year period? Is that smart from United and Ineos or what?
Well,
How do you read that?
It's a lot of money, first of all, is what I'll say for Cunha. I think it is quite a high price to pay. But I think he's a good player. He'll improve you. He'll give you legs, energy in the middle, which you desperately need with that formation that you play. My concern, if I was a United fan, would be, what's the budget that you've got this summer for transfers? Because we've heard multiple times from various different sources that, you know, United are in a bit of a sticky situation when it comes to finances and spend. And I think everybody agrees that United need a lot of money spending on the squad. Yeah, I'm talking maybe 250, 300 million. So, what you said, 80, 86 million, did you say?
Well, it's going to work out. They said they've done it in euros because they're South American reporters, but it's 67 million pounds. So the buyout clause is 62 million, but United are essentially going to pay 5 million above it so they can spread the cost over 5 years rather than pay 62 million pound cash up front.
Right. Still a lot of money, but you know, it's not as bad as 80. I didn't realize you said euros. Yeah, it's a lot of money, man. I think he's a good player personally. I actually do rate the guy. I'd probably have him at City. I can't even lie, but yeah, I think that for me, yeah, obviously, like, I think all clubs are trying to do this, isn't it? Where they're spreading the cost. They can't just whack 70 million quid in a bank account. You know what I mean? They need to spread it. So that's fine. That's chilling. But yeah, my major concern, if I was a United fan, is that's cool. Cunha's a good player. Happy that we're getting him. But that's one of 5, 6, 7 players that are needed at the football club. You need a lot of players, Terry. Do you have the money? So what's your United fan? What are the sort of, what's on the rumour mill? Do we have any idea of what budget United have got to spend this summer?
Well, Jamie Jackson, sort of journalist I've worked with before, has sort of spoke about how we can't even sign Delap, who we'll get onto later, and Cunha without selling people first. That has been pushed back against by Ornstein, Fabrizio, Jacobs, who have essentially said there is about 100 million to spend before a player is sold, before we know whether we're in the Champions League or not. So my feeling is we are probably going to raise a good 100+ million in sales, because we are with this. Rashford's going to get 40 to 50 million for us. Sancho's going to fetch us in around 25 million. Thank God Anthony's had a good loan spell. He's going to get us 40 to 50 million after what he's done in La Liga, which I think is really good. So there's 100-odd million that's going to be raised through the sale of those individuals, plus some other people to go. I would anticipate, with the fact that they've said we've got 100 million to spend without anything else having to happen. If we don't make the Champions League, I think we're going to spend about 200 million pounds. I think if we make the Champions League, that might stretch to somewhere in the region of 250 to 300. I don't think it'll go as high as 300, more the 250 end. So you're talking about $250 million maximum there. So for me, that's why it's such a mixture from United fans. You know, there's links today to Semenyo. There's been links to Mbomo. The Cunha deal looks like it's going to happen. But a lot of United fans are upset with the links to, say, Liam Delap, because he's available for £30 million, which I think is cheap for a player that's just had the season that he's had. There's a buyout clause, but of course he's 22 years of age. He doesn't have the experience. Is he going to be able to lead the line with the pressure that's going to be upon him? But the one thing for sure, there isn't a bottomless pit of money. And although Shajim got ridiculed for saying that the club were nearly bankrupt, have you seen the graphics that have come out today that show? I think Kieran Maguire shared that it shows that Arsenal have now become the most profitable team ever in Premier League history. When you look at the graphic, and every year, it's one of those graphs where every year ticks by and you see the profitability lines go up and down. Man United were the most profitable period up until 2021. We go from being the most profitable to 2 years later, we're not even in the top 20. It's just all the money's gone. So that's where United fans have got to strap themselves in, because unless we make... That's why beating Spurs is so important. It's not about the trophy I think in terms of next season, the trophy's great. It's about more money so they can invest in improving this squad. Because I think Cunha is great, but we need a lot more. I agree with that completely. What's your thoughts?
So how much was the budget? Sorry.
So I think if we don't make the Champions League, I think with sales, the maximum we're going to spend is probably 200 million. If we are able to make the Champions League, that's an extra 80 to 100 million of income. I think you might see a spend between 250 to 300 if there's that additional money.
Well, I think you need to win the Europa League then, man, because I think
we do. I don't disagree.
I think you need that 300 million, man, because that squad needs ripping apart, man. It really, really does. So yeah, listen, I like Cunha. I think he's a good player. I think he'll be good for your system because you need legs in when you play that formation, you play that system, you need legs in midfield. He's good for a goal, he can create, powerful. But yeah, that's just the start of it, man. Like United got to keep the pressure on the board and the owners to keep buying players because you need so much, man. What are you saying, Pops?
Really like the player. I think he's a top talent. I don't really buy all this attitude problem stuff. I personally think he's a top player, and I understand that he loses his head sometimes, but some of that is emotion and passion that goes over sometimes and balls over. I don't really know. Perhaps Terry can answer this. It's more of a question, I suppose, than a comment. I don't know if he's going to fit and how he's going to fit into the system. I'm not saying I don't think he will. I'm just trying to think of it now in my mind, thinking whereabouts he would play. So maybe that's a question we can talk about in a minute. But I do think that he's a top talent. I do think he's one of the most interesting that's played in the Premier League this season that's outside of the top boys. I think that he's definitely a wanted man. There was rumours in January that Arsenal and Forest were massively linked with him about coming in. And I think that he's a player that I still think Arsenal could do with, to be honest. I think that he can play in a number of positions. I think he's fairly versatile. I do see him more of a 10 than a 9 or a winger. I do think he's more of a kind of attacking, creative midfielder. Makes late runs. Got a boot.
He'd probably play, in my opinion, Potsy, on that left. Because United,
attacking 8, like a left attacking.
If you're playing a 5 at the back, usually, your wingers would invert, right? Because obviously you've got your fullbacks. That's why you need to buy attacking fullbacks in that system. So if you play, for example, when Mount played, maybe you'd play him when Mount played against West Ham in the sort of like off at the left. He could, at that central, he could drift out wide if he wanted to. A bit of a,
you'd have a forward
position.
and then you'd have 2 behind, and he'd be one of the 2 behind. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, he'd be one of the 210. That's what I think as well. He'll be one of the 2.
Bruno and Cunha behind the forward, or is Drew? It'll
be a combination actually, which I'm personally quite excited about because I think what it will be is sometimes you'll have Bruno in that 10 with Cunha. I think Ahmad can be in that role. We are in talks and we are talking quite heavily to both Semenyo and Brian Mbomo as well. So the club's looking at all of those players to essentially fit in and around those 10 roles. And although you'll get a little bit of, I don't mean to sound offensive, but I don't know how else to say it. You'll get a little bit of low IQ analysis, which will say, but they're all different. How can they all play? They'll all get in each other's way. It's about versatility because you don't need. There might be games where teams are going to sit back and you want a little bit more guile on the ball, like a Cunha and a Bruno. There could be games where there's going to be more space to run into. So you say, right, today, actually, what we're doing is starting with Semenyo and Ahmad in those roles as an example, and it can work its way around it. What I also like about a few of the players we're linked to is they can play in a centre forward role. They can play in a role. They can play in a role. Not necessarily an out-and-out 9, but in more that kind of false 9 position, which we have tried a few times at United, but we just don't have players that are great on the ball in terms of holding up the play. Your Mbomos and your Cunhas act in those positions. So I think one of the most important things that Amorim has identified and asked for, and I think Walcott and the team are working on, is we need more goals in those front 3 roles, because Bruno Fernandes is the only guy with 19 goals this season that's really delivered. Ahmad's done well. He's done well, but he's had to play wing back quite a bit. Outside of those 2, Rasmus don't score. Xerxes don't score. Garnacho scores okay, doesn't score enough. The output needs to be, Garnacho's output needed to be double, maybe 2/3 more this year. It needed to be much, much better than what he's done. So that's essentially what it feels we're looking at here is athletes, great runners, great pressers that also have a good amount of output. So yeah, I mean, I'm really excited about the idea of Cunha personally. I think there's a really good player in there, and I can't wait to see him. But at the same time, like my powder is always dry with these signings. I can see what they'll bring us. I can see they could improve us, but I need to wait and see if that makes sense because I've been hurt.
What I've got an interesting topic on United is.
Go on.
And I know you probably love this one because I've seen you have debates with United panelists before on this channel. I think you had one with Staffy, which was quite a good one about 6 months ago. And it's Bruno Fernandes. And if it was me, I wouldn't be playing Bruno Fernandes at Manchester United next season, the starting 11. Let me tell you why. I'd get a new striker and play a striker. I'd have Cunha behind him on the left, and I had Ahmad behind him on the right. And then my 2 midfielders behind them, I'd go and break the bank for Belabor because I'm a firm believer that in that system,
In believer.
Yeah, I'm a
Sorry.
believer.
Terrible joke, but I had to do it. Sorry.
Nah, it's all right, bro. I know you're down bad in it this year. You're 16th in the league, bro. It's all right. No, I'm a firm believer that when you play this system, you need unbelievable legs in the midfield. And I think Belabor is just exactly what this Man United team needs. Exactly what it needs. You got to remember, right, when you're playing this system, yeah, and you've got your full backs pushed out wide, you've got the three at the back, you got your striker, yeah, and then you've got your 2 10s, right? If you want to call it 2 10s, right? You've then got 2 players in midfield. Now, when you're playing against teams who have a high quality 3 in midfield, you struggle. Now, that's not clever IQ. Anyone that knows about football knows this is true. You say the England boys talk about it back when they had Sven, and Sven used to play it too, and they all come out now and say, why did they play a fucking 3 in the midfield? We've seen it for England with Southgate when we played Croatia. We had 2 in midfield, and Croatia just outdone us. So if you are going to play with a 2 in midfield, right, you need unbelievable legs. And I just think Belabor at Brighton is the perfect player for this Manchester United system in that 2. Now, the question is, who do you have next to him? I just don't think Bruno Fernandes is that guy. Now, I know it's a topic that everyone loves to talk about because it is quite a good debate, but I just don't think he's the guy. I think you need another player. I don't think Ugarte is the guy, by the way, either. Just to put that out there. I don't think you've got the player at the football club. I don't think Kobe Mainoo. And by the way, I shouted Kobe Mainoo the first day Amarin got the job. I said he ain't going to work in this system, by the way. I think you need 2 new players for that midfield area. Belabor, in my opinion, should be Manchester United's number 1 target. Who the other guy is, I'm not 100% sure who that is.
I think, listen, on Mainoo, I think
he gets in the team.
I understand where you're coming from. And you'll get a lot of this that say benching the best midfielder is kind of ridiculous. I think when you say it like that, yes. But at 30 years of age, what Man United need to look to do, and if we achieve it, it means we're a better team. So I'm not married to this idea that no matter what we do, Bruno Fernandes has to start. So if we were able to sign Belabor, if we're able, I think if you put more legs, by the way, in front of and behind people like Mainoo, I think they'll do very, very well. The reason Mainoo's a very, very, very brilliant football, very, very, very good and a brilliant football player on the ball. What he doesn't have is the ability to cover the ground like a Belabor does. So I don't disagree with you that you need more legs in there. I get your point to a degree. If Ahmad stays fit and starts to deliver on a regular basis, if Cunha comes in and is a goal scoring and a creative machine, if the fullbacks then are able to start creating more opportunities and scoring more goals, if Delap comes in and is scoring 15 league goals, 20, 25 in all competitions, then I think what Man United can start to do is drift away from using Bruno Fernandes, at least in every single game, at least having other options, other people picking up picking up the brunt of stuff. And I do agree with you that this system needs a lot more speed, a lot more pace. And when we have that, I think a lot of United fans will be more entertained and will be a scarier opposition for a lot of the bigger sides. The only thing I would temper what you've said with is that I know there's potentially a lot of money on offer from Saudi. And I said this the other day, my gut says don't do it. But actually, if you picked up £150 million for Bruno Fernandes, well, that's probably a bit more than what they're willing to offer, 110, 120. You could go out with that money and sign Gypkeres and Belabor. We've already got the money to bring in Cunha. You then maybe go and get yourself an Mbomo. You go out there and buy an Edison for that midfield as well, plus Champions League money, maybe selling others. There is the possibility then, as gutted as I would be to see Bruno go, because I personally have loved watching him play, we could be a better team. And that's the one part of the conversation that I don't think Man United fans are willing to entertain, is that we could become a better team. But we are a club.
Exactly.
And Arsenal went through this.
You've got to put the club before the player, right? The fact is, you need to think about this system. And again, as we spoke about many, many times on this channel, and I spoke about on other channels as well, this system requires players who can play in specialist position. For me, if you had Edison, I'm not Edison's biggest fan, right? But I'm thinking about the system here, right? If you had Edison and Belabor in that midfield too, and then Cunha, Diallo, and let's just say Gypkeres, That is unbelievable, by the way. Yeah, you have unbelievable press from the front with Cunha, Amad Diallo, and your new striker. And then behind, you have two unbelievable ball winners and pure energy in Edison and Belabor. The fact is, where does Bruno Fernandes get in the team in that?
I'm starting to agree with LB here. I think he's explained that really well. I disagreed when he first said it. I actually think I've been kind of cooked with Bruno. I'm not a fan of him in mentality-wise, but you can't deny the fact that he scores goals for Manchester United. If he does play, and Bruno's in there with Cunha, let's say, where does Diallo play? That's what I don't know. And if you're going to play more, Bruno's going to drop deep. Does Bruno drop deep well? I don't know. Maybe he does. I don't watch Man United like you do, Tell. But I don't know. I'm kind of agreeing with LB here. I think that, like a lot of people talk about Belabor. I don't know enough about him. I don't watch Brighton every week. I watch more of Adam Wharton and I like him a lot. But when I look at Belabor, I don't see a guy that you can't get. With Sin Caicedo and Bissouma both go from Brighton. So he's definitely gettable. Edison, I don't know what's enough at Atalanta, if I'm honest. Reinders, Manchester City is the one that I want, actually, but Manchester City are looking like they're going to get him. So, yeah, I'm looking now thinking, where does Bruno fit into this moving forward? Maybe he does, maybe he don't, but Diallo's got to play because he's incredibly exciting. So, yeah, maybe one of them misses out. I don't know.
So again, I'm not against it. It's for me, but I'm not also worried about what you said, Potsy, about who plays where. Because I'm not someone that doesn't believe in this best 11 notion. And the great example of this is, under Klopp, Liverpool's Klopp team, we could all name their best 11 from their best team. And we could all name it position for position. But this stat came out. I say stat, it's a fact. That at the end of the season after the year they won their league title, a stat came out that over the previous 3 seasons, that starting 11 that we all would say is their best, only started something like 17 games together over 3 years.
Wow.
And I think that, again, you could probably name City's best 11 in the last 4 or 5 years. And I guarantee you they don't start together as regularly as everybody thinks. And that's what the top teams in the world in England, and that's what the top teams in the world do, is we need to be able to have that versatility depending upon the opponent. And the reason why City have been so amazing and so consistent in the last 8 years under Pep is because there'll be times where you might go as a rival. I ain't seen John Stones in a few weeks. Where's Mahrez been on the bench for 2 or 3 weeks? And then they come on as fresh as a daisy after getting sub appearances and they blow a team away. Where with Man United, Arsenal with Saka that we've all called out, some of these players are okay, their 52nd start of the season as they're going into a crunch game, where maybe at some of these other teams, players have started 35, 40 games, and there's a little bit more left in their legs. So I'm not against the idea of having a big squad. On Bruno, I love the guy. I rate the guy. I think he's proven a lot of people wrong over the years, especially this season. However, Man United fans, it cannot be about Bruno. I would love us to become a team that wins the Premier League again, and I'd love him to be part of it. I truly would. But if we went out and bought that caliber of player that LB's talking about, and we were a better team without him, I'm not going to cry about it. But what I've noticed a lot in our fan base, probably more now than ever, is we have so many fanboys. We have more people that support players than support the football club. And you see that in the attitude towards Amorim. If it's a player that started to thrive under Amorim or do well, a lot of the people that are behind those players, they love Amorim. If they're a player that's on the peripheral or been loaned out, or maybe there's a rumor they might be getting sold or they're not playing well, so they're getting stick. It's the manager, it's the system. And we have a lot of that at the football club. So there'll be a lot of people that love Bruno that would turn straight away on Ruben Amorim. There's not a lot of people that ever think about the football club. And typically this is when a team's doing badly. When a team does well, you don't even hear this sort of bullshit. But I don't disagree, LB. And the point is, I don't care. As long as we're a better team, I don't care whether Bruno's starting.
You will be a better team with what I said. 100%.
And you could, and again, what you suggested is right. For me, this is the problem I have with people. Staffy's always harping on about, I told you about Ugarte, but you didn't tell us anything we didn't know. We all knew he wasn't Pedri. We all know what Ugarte is. He is a destroyer that breaks up play and wins the ball back. I know he had a terrible game on Sunday, but that's what he does. And I still think there's a place in the squad for someone like that for specific games, for specific moments. But the problem I have with the criticism of Ugarte is you were criticizing him for what he isn't. And that's not his fault. That is, your target's the wrong person. Like, we get a lot of this in the Man United fan base. Oh, I didn't want that profile player, so I'm going to hate the guy we got instead. That's just fucking stupid. It's really stupid. It's criticize the recruitment team for not buying what we need, but this man is a specialist at what he does and will be useful for 15, 20 games a season.
Agreed.
And I think that's really, really important to have.
Coming off the bench for the last 15, 20 minutes, you know, you're away at a big game, you're winning 1-0, sub him on. Yeah, it's fine. It's okay to have around the squad. The thing is, and he'll accept that, I would imagine, Bruno Fernandes ain't going to accept being a squad rotator. And you've got to convince me as to where this guy could fit into the team. And is he better than Amad Diallo in behind the striker? Not in my opinion, not off the right. I think Cunha's better for the legs and what he can give you as well. And then I don't think you can play him in a 2. If you think Bruno Fernandes can play in a 2-man midfield, then I just think you just don't know.
We need to raise the levels. And every person in every squad around the world, whether you're 16th in the league or first, their position in the side should always be under threat, whether it's about potential recruitment, an academy player, an improved member of the squad. No one's position should be a guarantee. And the one thing I think it would do is get an even better version of Bruno. So even if he's still part of the squad, you know, when he comes in, is he going to work harder, play better, make better decisions? Absolutely. The one thing Man United fans are scared of, or sections of the fan base are scared of, is their favorite players having their positions under threat. The amount of times we'd be linked, like Martial fanboys were the start of this. Well, we can't sign him. What about the development of Martial? Well, if he's good enough, he'll keep improving. If he can handle the pressure, he'll keep improving. If he can't, then he ain't right. This is one of the reasons we're 16th. People will blame Amorim because they're stupid, and they put all the blame on him. And they forget about all the mistakes we've been making for 12 years. And Martial's not even to blame for this. The club are for allowing it to happen. Every time we signed proper competition for Martial, essentially he went into his shell and didn't have a great season. That competition would leave, or he'd become the main man again. Chest would go out. Yeah, I'm ready. He'd have a really good season. You sign another striker, or you sign another left attacker, went into his shell. Something about the man's ability. The fact that we enabled a player to do that, and we could all witness it, and the club didn't go, right, you're not right for this club. Because Man United should always have competition for every single position. It's why City are so good. It's why Barca are so good. It's why Real Madrid are invariably so good, because there is competition everywhere in their squads for players, and it keeps everybody on their toes. Man United, we've got such weak fans nowadays. No, my player needs to be protected and left alone. Like, I love Ahmad. I love Mainu. But if we sign Mbomo and we sign Cunha, and they're in the 10 roles and they're fucking killing it, I don't care if Ahmad's on the bench. We sign Cunha and we sign Mbomo, but then next season, Garnacho and Ahmad are the best 2 attackers in the league, and the new signings are on the bench. Do you know what, boys? I don't give a fuck because my team's better. People have got to start putting the football club.
We never used to do this, by the way, Terry. We never used to do this. I get this from Arsenal fans as well. Like, oh, where would so-and-so play? Where would so-and-so play? No, it's a bit different with me and LB. We're doing it. We're trying to work out a new system in our head, right? With what Amorim's going to put in place. But when it comes to like Arsenal when they last won the title, we had Cunha and Wiltord on the bench, mate. We had Reyes on the bench, bless him. We had Van Persie and Fabregas coming through. This was a squad. Do you know what I mean? This is why we won stuff. Edu and Parler
hated that team so much.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone hated that team, right? But you had it right in 99, you know, and in 2008, it was incredible what you had, you know. So I think that we never used to talk like that back then. We didn't go, oh my God, you're buying Tevez. Well, where the hell is Rooney and Ronaldo going to play? Do you know what I mean? You never did that. It was just
no one.
For me, it was like we don't do that. And I wanted to ask you if you've got more faith in your transfers now, because when I look at the summer you just had before the new regime, it really is actually probably one of the worst summers in the history of Manchester United, in my opinion. When you go have spent 77 million euros on Højlund, 65 million euros on Mason Mount, and 50 million euros on Onana, absolute L's, all 3 of them, to be fair. And then obviously now you look at what you've had with Dorgu coming, obviously, but you've got Yoro, Ugarte, De Ligt, Xerxes, and Mazraoui. Have you now got more faith that your signings will get? You won't get any more flops, sort of thing.
I'm more hopeful, but I have got more faith. I'm more hopeful, but I'm still skeptical. In the social media world, that means I'm an Ineos plant and I'll back everything they say and do. But in reality, I'm liking what we're linked to. There hasn't been a player that we've been credibly linked to yet where I've gone, oh, fuck off. Like this time last year, we were getting linked to Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Do you know what I'm saying? So I'm liking I like who we're linked to, but it's about the delivery. It's not about who we're trying to sign. It's I'll be judging us on who we land and who we get over the line. But, you know, if it's Cunha's and Mbomos and Edison's and, you know, Milinkovic-Savic's in goal and stuff, then I'd look at that and go, that they really look like they fit what we're doing. Then you've got to see the proof in the pudding as well. And I'm going to be keeping my feet very firmly on the ground. However, I do trust the Baradas, the Wilcotts of this world, the Christopher Favales, far more than I do the accountants. I know, by the way, none of these guys were really making decisions this time last year when the transfer window started, because they barely had their feet under the table and they had to act quickly. And we shouldn't have kept the manager, which all three of us said that last summer. Like, we don't need to go over old ground. So I do have a little bit more faith that we'll get it closer to correct this year. So, yeah, let's see what happens. Viewers, give us your thoughts and opinions. We have a few super chats here, actually. Jiminy here says, Terry, if Spurs win the Europa, I'll donate you 100 Australian dollars. Super chat. Big up the best football channel on YouTube. May the best team win. Come on, you Spurs. Well, listen, I appreciate that. And yeah, if you win, at least that'll be a little softener for me. Be a little softener if you do beat us. We actually go into White Hart Lane on Sunday, people. Big group of Spurs and United fans filming a big preview outside the stadium. So can't wait to bring that to you guys. It's going to be a lot of fun. If we miss Champions League, we might sell Bruno to Saudi for money. This is true. And again,
anyway, Josh,
we made it. Listen, at the end of the day, people are laughing about the money. I said the top journalists and the people connected to Saudi have said they're willing to break the British transfer record. Now, nobody knows yet whether that means...
That is crazy.
The British transfer record is 106 million for purchases, but the British transfer record for sales is 140 million. So it's one of those two. If they're really willing to do it, it's between one of those two. And
if it's anything near to 100 million, you've got to say yes. If it's over it, I mean, it's no brainer. Let's be real.
Yeah. If I think we can sign the players, that, for instance, LB mentioned, if it's like, yeah, we can get Edison and Believer for that money, plus we know we're getting Cunha and Mbomo, that I'm looking at that and thinking that does feel worth it to me. The more I think about it, the more I'm like, actually. Already done that super chat there. Since Ruben Interim arrived at United, he has done more media interviews, 7 with 6 Premier League wins, and the deluded fans still think he is the right man for United. Well, look, we will see. He has done a lot of interviews. Not his fault, by the way. He's contracted to do them, so he can't pull out of them. But look, everyone's entitled to their opinion. Maybe he isn't the guy, but I'm still more focused on getting rid of these players, changing the culture at the club than I am the 8th time on the bounce, blaming a manager and thinking that we're going to drastically improve, because that has been the train of thought 7 times prior. No one can convince me to follow that train of thought for the 8th time. Well, they say, fool me once, shame on me. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Fool me the 8th time. That should be a prison sentence for stupidity. That should genuinely, you should go in prison for a hate crime against your own brain at that point. He may not be the guy to get us over the line. But for me, and the manager has said what we've all spoke about on previous streams, years and years gone by, the players throw managers under buses. This group of players will always turn it on when they want to. The way I saw this team run at Anfield versus how I saw them run against West Ham, that's not coaching. Pep ain't fixing that. Klopp ain't fixing it. Fergie ain't fixing it. You fix it by letting these players know they can't do it, by fucking them off. That's what we've got to start doing, irrespective of the coach. So for me, maybe Ruben's got to go, but my main focus is these players and the culture at the club. I'm not going to change that. Never going to change it. Playing Bruno deep in midfield can work versus low blocks, but struggles against more aggressive and transitional setups due to his strength and physical limitations and speed. I agree. Selling Bruno for 120 million sounds great until you realize how bad we spend money. Seems like we are spending an extra 5 million to spread the cost. 120 million doesn't go as far as you think with what we need. That is true, Patrick. That's why, again, the cynicism is there. However, we are spending more to spread the cost, but that makes more sense in the short term because we need to improve the squad. If we spend 62 million cash, that eats into the budget. If we only have to spend 13 million pound on Cunha this summer, it gives us more leeway to buy more players, and we need to buy more players for this manager. So I don't think it's the wrong thing to do at this particular juncture. In games with higher pressure and fast transitions, Bruno's flaws as defensive awareness, press resistance, and safe ball circulation are exposed. That's really fair. It's really fair. They are weaknesses of Bruno Fernandes's, and we can't deny that as much as I love him. Slightly keeping it with Manchester United, the Mirror today are reporting, along with TalkSport and Ben Jacobs, that although they were seen as the front runners up until the last week or so, but it does appear that Liam Delap is going to reject Chelsea for Manchester United. What does that say? We know he's a good young talent. I would love to get LB's views on him as an ex-City player, but what does that say about Chelsea? That even though they could be coming third, fourth, fifth this season.
Of course he did. As soon as you mentioned Chelsea, he's like, fuck, I'm not getting cooked off Chelsea fans. I let LB can get roasted off these Chelsea fans. Hey, get back here now, Potsy, man. Yeah?
He bottled
get
it.
back
He
here now.
bottled
Put
it.
your camera back on, man. We all know you're there. Yeah, I'm not going into this getting cooked off these Chelsea fans in the chat on my ones, man. What are you saying? Delap rejecting Chelsea, yeah?
Yeah, and it's what the reports are suggesting, that if Man United make the Champions League, so both teams in the Champions League, he's going to pick Manchester United over Chelsea.
Okay. I think that's an L from his decision, personally. I would go Chelsea if I was him. I think Chelsea's much more stable. Here he is.
Here he is.
Started.
Someone say Chelsea. Did someone say Chelsea?
Yeah, no, I think Chelsea's much more stable right now than Manchester United. I think they are a lot closer to being a top elite level side than Man United. They've got an elite level creator, in my opinion, in Cole Palmer. And I just think they're a lot closer. I don't think Chelsea need that much. I think they need a few players, top quality players. But I think they need a few players, and I think they're thereabouts. I think then the pressure will be on the manager. United, as we've just spent 40 minutes talking about, they need to rip up the club and start again. So I think this is an interesting move.
It's better off staying at Ipswich than going to Man United.
Well, probably not. You know what I mean?
I'm not biting.
Yeah, I was only joking.
I'm surprised if he rejects Chelsea, unless Chelsea are getting him in and getting an elite level striker at the same time. So then he's being told he's going to be like a number 2 rotational option, and United are like, you're going to be the number 1. So he's like, well, go there then.
That's my thoughts. What's the thoughts on him leading the line for either of them? I'm not saying he's not good enough. I'm just because they're terrible at the moment. They haven't got anyone. But do you think there's a serious amount of pressure on Liam Delap? I mean, look, I think he's a talented player. I think he's been excellent for Ipswich, and I know he was good at Hull. And I know that Man City fans like yourself, LB, said you thought he was quality when he was coming through. But is that a lot of pressure to put on in the lad? I mean, I see him as coming in as a kind of trying to fight for a first place team at that level. If he's going to an Everton, he'll play every game and he'll do quite well, I'm sure. But playing for Everton is very different to playing for Manchester United or Chelsea. And I know that at the moment, Manchester United are in a mess, but there's a serious amount of pressure on the lad. Maybe he can hack it. Maybe he's good enough. But I think, out of the two, I agree with LB. I think he will probably go to Chelsea, if I'm honest. If the rumours are true that he's going to reject them for Manchester United, it might be that he's looking at the kind of, I'm not looking at Man United and where they are now. I'm looking at Man United, the club and the pool. And that could be, because there still is a different knock when it's Man United. I know people laugh at this now because they're a mess. But when you can say in your career, I played for Manchester United, you respect it a lot. So, look, I think that is a big thing. If he was to reject Chelsea to go to Man United, I'm not going to lie, it would be quite funny, to be fair. Man United has still got Paul, though. It's not like he's rejecting Chelsea to go and play for West Ham up front, is it? Do you know what I mean? And even if he was doing that, I'd say fair play because he's obviously rejected it for first-team football, right? But right now, I think he's guaranteed first-team football at any of those clubs, isn't he? So, yeah, man, I don't know. I think Chelsea, I would probably lean towards, if I had to put money on it, that he'd go with it. But if the reports are coming out that he's going to now choose Manchester United, then that's quite funny, to be fair. But huge pressure. Do you think huge pressure? I think.
Yeah, of course there's huge pressure on him, bro. It's definitely going to be huge pressure. But I think he's got the ego for it, me. I think he backs himself. I think he's got the quality. He scored 12 goals, by the way, this year for Ipswich. I think that's pretty good, man. Jackson scored 12 goals for Chelsea.
Fair.
Yeah. I think if he goes Chelsea, I think he gets 20 league goals next year. Real talk. I genuinely think he gets 20 league goals if he goes Chelsea next year. I think he's a good player. Now, is he going to be good enough to take them back to the Prem next year or the year after? I don't know. But Chelsea don't want Osimhen because they're not willing to pay the money. Gypkeres is probably favouring a move to a more ready club, I would imagine. Someone like an Arsenal or a Liverpool, I would imagine. So, maybe they're going to have to get him.
Sesko?
But
I think Sesko ahead of Delap. Would you take Delap?
Yeah, I think Sesko's probably more willing to go to a Chelsea or United than Gypkeres. I think Gypkeres is obviously the goals that he's put in. Why would he go to a development club again now? He wants to take he wants to be the guy that wins titles and stuff. So
maybe it'll be Sesko that goes to Chelsea and Delap goes to Man United.
Well, that's the link that's just come out today from Matt Law. I was going to put it on the screen, but I can't find it now. But Matt Law has said, somebody posted it into the chat and I forgot to star it. But basically saying Benjamin Sesko is now a lead target for Chelsea.
Oh God, please! That means we must go for Gypkeres then, because that's what I don't want. So I want Man United to win the Europa League for obvious reasons. However, if you do, you get Champions League, and then Gypkeres might even consider that. I hope that LB's right and he does go for Arsenal. It looks like Berta wants him, and he's our main target now because Isak's down at Newcastle. So for me, I want Gypkeres, and then Manchester United could get Delap. Chelsea gets Sesko. The
facts is, Arsenal should be leading the race and you should be getting the best out of them because you're in the best position.
Facts.
Obviously, I don't know what Liverpool are doing. Like, no one ever seems to know what Liverpool are doing, like with transfer market, you know what I'm saying? But with Arsenal...
Can I just tell you what Liverpool are doing quickly? They're losing another centre-back for a free to Real Madrid, according to reports. Cunha.
No way. Who said that?
That's what I'm hearing in rumours today.
Right, he's out of contract next year, isn't he?
Yeah, he's got 1 year left.
Oh, that's crazy.
It's mad, isn't it?
Bro, what are they doing over there, man? Why did other players' contracts run down?
Yeah, that's mad.
That's so dumb, these guys who run this football club at Liverpool, man. Honestly, these guys should be rioting, man. Honestly, it's unbelievable what's happening there. But yeah, I'll go back to the striker thing. Yeah, if I was Delap, go Chelsea, lad. Yeah, go Chelsea. Yeah, they're not a million miles away from being a decent side. Yeah, United are a million miles away from being a decent side, right? And then, they're cooking on gas, isn't it?
Yeah, look, it's also likely that Man United are offering him more money. Chelsea have that wage cap thing. That's the one thing about Chelsea that I think gives everybody a negotiation advantage over. And how many shows did we do last year, LB, where Chelsea fans kept on saying, don't want Osimhen, he ain't worth it, we've got a wage cap. That could also be the issue here. And look, I've got trepidation. I'm a bit worried about Delap. He's had a good season, but it's the only season he's played football.
Have a guess.
He scored goals.
How many GNA Osimhen's got now this year?
29.
Just because we do this every week and it seems to go up every single week.
30, 35 in totality.
29. Is it not?
41.
Woo! He weren't worth it. Remember, Don did his research and said, remember, Don did his research and he backed me on this. Don did his research and basically said, you ain't worth the money, we got Jackson. That's basically what Don said. Do you know what I'm saying?
Honestly, man, those Chelsea fans in the chat back in the day at the start of the season, he was going, he's shit, he's rubbish, he's absolutely useless. And he's got 41 GNA, bro. What are you doing? Oh, it's the Turkish league. No, he's got 8 GNA in the Europa League.
Yeah.
The guy's an elite level goal scorer, man.
Because he wants 350k a week or whatever it is, 400k a week. They won't pay it. So they keep it Jackson and Mark Gui and Cunha. Dear me.
Wild.
No, listen, I'm happy with Liam Delap potentially coming to Man United, especially I think one good thing about the deal is at 30 million in the modern day game, it's a relatively low risk with the age that he's at. You're not going to lose. It's definitely a lower risk than buying a player that was the same age as him in Rasmus Højlund for 73 million. It's definitely a lower risk. If it goes wrong,
100%.
It's easy to recoup. But I'm intrigued to know why he's joining Manchester United at this point over Chelsea. I don't even want to banter Chelsea about it. Do you know one of the reasons why I'm not going to even try and banter Chelsea? Because I feel like every time you do that as a fan, the player that signs your club ends up doing shit. I just feel like I'm just going to, yep, great, we got him. Commiserations, Chelsea. Keep my powder dry. I'm intrigued in people's reasoning, but yeah, I'm not even going to, there's nothing to even mock. Yeah, my team are so far behind these other sides at the moment. I feel there is nothing to mock. I can't mock anything. I just don't feel in a position to do it. It just doesn't feel something off key about a Man United fan mocking a rival right now.
Yeah, it's just Spurs fans. Would you have Osimhen at United?
Yeah. I'm gutted we're not linked to him. The only thing is for me, subjectively speaking, I rate him. I like him. I've wanted him for years. Objectively, no big club in Europe is willing to pay him his money. And typically speaking, is a red flag to me. This, I used to have this conversation with people about Zaha at Palace a lot. oh, he's top class. He could be world class. I said, I get why you think that. But at this point, I was in this space of he's in his late 20s, barring that move when he was younger to United that didn't last long. No one's ever actually gone ahead and paid the money that Palace want for him. That was always an indication to me that I'm not putting it down to attitude, behavior, inconsistency, effort. I don't know what it is. I can't, because there's nothing tangible to attach it to. But there's something in it where no one's willing to buy someone. It makes, objectively, I think it makes your opinion wrong. So that's the only flag I've got with Osimhen, is that not one top club in Europe is willing to pay him. But he's not asking for half a billion a week. He's asking for 250,000, which is not exactly Man United pay that to Mount, is the point I'm making, right? So he's not asking for exorbitant amounts of money. That's the only, you know, when you go out and you think you might have left the oven on or did leave the iron on, you get a little, that's the only thing in the back of my mind about Osimhen. Nobody seems willing to pay him what I think he's worth. So I have to consider that. But I'd love Osimhen at Man United. I would, obviously, Gypkeres is my number one choice, but it does appear with the stories today that Arsenal are this close. And do you think Arsenal were doing the right thing here, Potsy, in terms of Berta-led, in the sense of, yes, Isak is the number one target, but instead of, it sounds like what you're doing, instead of spending a summer, maybe getting Isak, leaving it until August, push him. Do you think the option of just going to get Gypkeres done, dusted, quick, get him off the market so nobody else can buy him is important?
I'll be honest, I'll be devastated if we don't get Gypkeres now. Devastated. Because we should get him. We should be the front runners for him. The only other team I believe that could be persuaded, or he could be persuaded, is Barcelona. If they're interested in replacing you, Lewandowski, I think Gypkeres could go there. Other than that, I think Arsenal are leading the race. I think he would choose Arsenal over Manchester United and Chelsea. And I'm not quite sure what Liverpool are up to. They're the only other club that I'd be fairly convinced that could actually get him off of us. But for me right now, Andrea Berta, he said he's his guy. We've moved and swayed away from Sesko. If you look now, Chelsea are linked with him. So for me, that's a really good sign. I think Andrea Berta appointment, let's be honest. I've got to be honest with you. I think it's a fantastic appointment. Now, I might eat humble pie. I might have egg thrown in my face to say that I think he's a good appointment. But I do believe that is the absolute perfect candidate for the numbers that we had on there. Because we had Dan Ashworth on the list, and we had, Jason Ato was already part of it. And I was thinking, oh my God, this is going to be a disaster. Berta's got a great history, great CV. So that's a really good appointment. Now it's time to deliver. Arteta's not going anywhere. No point in talking about his future. He's staying. So now it's on Andrea Berta to look at this summer and have a huge one. David Ornstein's reported in the last couple of days that we're going to have one. And I must be honest with you, I do feel like there's the serious potential for us to have a big summer, but I don't think we're going to be alone. I think there's going to be a lot of clubs that have a big summer. Manchester United, I think Newcastle, Manchester City, I think Liverpool will actually go and do some business. We've spoken about Chelsea, so I think it's going to be a big summer for a lot of clubs. So you're right, Tel, we've got to go and get Gypkeres now. I believe there's a release clause or at least a fee that's been agreed around about 65 million. That is an absolute steal for him. And there's also reports today that we're linked with Rodrygo, which is unbelievable. If we was to go and pull that off, oh my God. I don't know if that's true, but... Yeah, I mean,
the deal with Gypkeres is there's a 60 million pound is what the deal is going to cost. And he'll earn in excess of 200,000 a week. I mean, it's just, I know there's always a risk with a player that hasn't done it in the Premier League, but the man scored 92. I think he's got 92 GA over 2 seasons.
That's mad. That's mad.
I think players who put the ball in the back of the net like that, like pretty much put the ball in the back of the net wherever they go.
Let's be real. Gypkeres, Sesko, and Delap, right? We've just said Arsenal, Man United, Chelsea. The better option of those three is Gypkeres. I think all three of us can agree that, right? I don't know who's worse out of Delap or Sesko. Sesko looks to be doing it at a European level. Delap's doing it at club level. But when you look at it, what's happening, Gypkeres is levels ahead of those two, in my opinion. I'll be very disappointed if we ended up with one or the other, if it wasn't Gypkeres. So Gypkeres has to. And I know people say that he played at Coventry. That's a very competitive, hard, physical league. He's gone and backed the goals he scored in England up by getting 72 GA in 2 years. That is absolutely ridiculous. I know that he got an unbelievable amount of goals last season. This season, he's backed it up. So for me, it's all sorts, all round of 9. He's an all-round 9 Terry as well.
He's leading the golden boot, and he scored 38 goals. Now he doesn't get as many points because if you're in the Prem, I think if you're in the top 4 leagues, your goals essentially count for, you get 2 points per goal, where you only get 1.5 points per goal if you're in the sort of Portuguese leagues, Turkish leagues. I'm not too sure what you get in the French league. I'm just trying to look here and see. I think like the French league, top 5 leagues, you get 2 points, but he's still. So Mo Salah, for instance, is second. Mo Salah gets 2 points for every goal that he scored. Gypkeres is still ahead of him by a point. Wow. He scored 10 more goals than him. He's done it 2 years running. He's just been fantastic. And it's 60 million quid. It's a lot of money, but it's what you paid for Kai Havertz. And I think if Gypkeres comes in and flops, he still might score more goals than Kai Havertz for you. It's phenomenal business. It really is. And I saw something. I watched the game. I've been watching Sporting loads this season, ever since we were linked to Ruben. And I watched their game. I watched their last 4 league games. And yeah, there's moments in the game. And this is the problem with modern day fans.
Still with a bubble, can't they, Terry?
They can do. I mean, the game against Benfica was amazing. Benfica were the better team, but they were at home. He helped score the first goal. There was some great hold-up play from him. There were times where he got the ball and he lost it too easily. But I think we live in a weird world now where people, if you want someone to be bad, and this has happened to Erling Haaland so much in the last few years, is that when people want to go in on him, you could put a compilation together of every bad touch and every time he's made the wrong decision or he's held the ball up and been tackled. But people act like that wasn't happening to R9. R9, if you went back and actually watched R9 again, most of the time when he touched the ball, he wasn't rolling a man, running in on goal and scoring. Otherwise, he would have scored 200 goals a season. Like most of the time, defenders win the ball back against you. Otherwise, goals would be higher scoring. We just live in this weird world. The criticism of Gypkeres I've seen is crazy. He's fast, powerful, good first touch, decent interplay for the elite level of the game. He has what Haaland's got as well, though. He can place a ball like he's blasted it. He can place it into the bottom corner, but it's like he's put his laces through it. And there's such quality to him as well. And yes, some people go, but he scores penalties. Yeah, penalties are part of football. Penalties are a part of football, and he's fantastic at them. It's an extra little, you get to a penalty shootout with players like him and Saka taking penalties. You've got a much better chance of going through. How much better is it that he might become your backup penalty taker over Odegaard, as an example? If you're, you know what I mean? Because he scores them. Yeah, and these are all the little things that I think Arsenal fans should be excited about when it comes to Gypkeres, especially the fact you've already gone and basically got Zubimendi over the line. It's a fantastic piece of business.
The thing is as well, yeah, Terry.
Sorry, go on.
When you're buying strikers, yeah, you want a proven track record of a player that scored goals. So you look at Gypkeres, right? His last 4 seasons, right? Coventry, 17 goals. This is just league. This is not all comps, by the way. This is only league. Coventry, 17 goals. Coventry, 21 goals. Sporting Lisbon, 29 goals. Sporting Lisbon, 38 goals. He's also got 15 goals in 26 matches for Sweden, right? This is a guy that has a track record of scoring goals, right? You compare that to Rasmus Højlund, yeah? Who his track record before Manchester United in first team football was 0 goals, 6 goals, 3 goals, and 9 goals. Man United signed him, and what a surprise, the guy doesn't score goals. He's never scored goals in his career. He's never scored goals. And it was the same, by the way, when it comes to Gypkeres, with Erling Haaland. If you look at Erling Haaland's career, yeah, he scored goals at Dortmund, he scores goals for what's he from? Yeah. Norway. Salzburg. And he scored goals at Salzburg and Molde, yeah? He scored goals everywhere he's been. So when City signed him, the likely chances of him scoring goals were very high because he's done it everywhere he's been. Gypkeres has scored goals everywhere he's been. So he's probably going to come into Arsenal and score goals. Højlund didn't score goals anywhere he's ever been. Come to United, and he doesn't score goals now. So it's not a surprise. This is why, for me, I think this should be Arsenal's number 1 target. I think this should be Arsenal's #1 target. I think he's ready to make that move. He's going to have the ego again, because you need to have that as a striker in the Premier League when you try to win stuff. But this for me is a no-brainer. It's relatively cheap in this day and age. Now, this is a guy that scored over 40 goals, this season in all competitions, and it's available for 60 million euros.
He has more GA this season than Erling Haaland had in his first campaign in England. Now, granted, Haaland's doing it at a higher level, but also let's not pretend like that City team wasn't miles. I mean, that City team was so much better than everybody else in England that year as well. It's horses for courses. And when you look at a lot of the goals he scored, if you just study the goals, I hear a lot of bullshit. Oh, it's Portuguese football. The lines are high. There's so much room to play in. Not all these. It's not like he scored all these goals where players are sitting. The teams are on the halfway line, like a Big Angie's team, and the ball's knocked over the top, and they've been able to run in on goal. Loads of goals where the box has been crowded full of people. But Arsenal also do one thing you're not very good at is finishing off opportunities when you transition. It's not one of your great strengths. People like Gypkeres change that. They up you a level, and yeah, that'd be fantastic business. But there was that other story today you mentioned that I wanted to touch on today. That one Rodrygo supposedly, this is coming out of Spain, refused to play in El Clasico. I haven't read too much into that, as in I don't know. I didn't read the article, but I saw the headlines and it going through Twitter. But the report today has come out that Arsenal are amongst a couple of clubs. I want to read it properly here. It says Arsenal are one of the clubs that has shown the most interest in Rodrygo and are monitoring his situation ahead of the summer transfer window. I mean, that would be, he wants to play on the left. I mean, that would just be perfection, right?
This has to happen. I know I've just said it has to happen for Gypkeres, but they both have to happen. You spend 150 million and get these two in. That is an absolute steal. I'd rather do that than go and get Isak for 150 million. I'm a huge fan of Isak, right? So for me, you're completing your... And I think, do you know what? Mikel Arteta might have bought Declan Rice, but he was from West Ham. He wasn't the Alexis Sanchez or the Ozil excitement signing. Even Aubameyang, when we were poor, Wenger bought him in. So Wenger was able to go up to Real Madrid. He was able to go to Barcelona. He was able to go to Dortmund and say, we want your best three players, or two of you, some of your best players. I think it's time for Arteta to do that now. And I said with Turkish, I wanted, if we can't get Isak and Kvaratskhelia, who were the two that I wanted on a striker at left, I wanted Gypkeres and a player. One of them was Rodrygo. Now, I didn't really talk much about Rodrygo because I didn't think he was going anywhere. If there's a chance that he is going, Xabi Alonso's coming in, Carlo Ancelotti's going out, he might want to have a bit of a shake-up. And if he is one of the players that's the casualties because he wants to play on the left and Vinny and Mbappe usually get ahead of him, then I would 100% take him. I think City will be all over it, if I'm honest. But I think we should go all out to get him. I think he'd be absolutely superb. Sesko, Gypkeres, and Rodrygo as a... Sorry, Sesko. Saka, Gypkeres, and Rodrygo as a front three at Arsenal. Yeah, no excuses then to score goals, is there? Let me tell you that. So I think this would be a phenomenal signing if we could get it across the line. They're talking about 100 million euros, which works out around about 84 million pounds. That is a steal for me. I think he's quality. 24, international, won everything at Real Madrid. Quality. Be a brilliant signing.
Yeah. It is 85 million for him, plus about, I think it's about 55 million for Gypkeres, because it's 60 odd million euros. What you're paying for Zubimendi is at 52 million.
55 million, yeah. Well, 55 million euros. So that'd be about 50 million, isn't it?
So you're talking that those three would cost you 192 million pounds. I know you guys talk about needing 5-6 players, but I look at that and just think for 192 million, I know you can't factor in what other people are going to do. You can't factor in, Liverpool might sign Isak. City are going to do a madness. But those three signings, Zubimendi, Rodrygo, Gypkeres, if they come in and deliver to their optimum best, that you are in that title race and you can win the Champions League. And that, I think, is a starting point of the season, is where everyone wants to be, right? You know you can win the league with those players, and you got to a semi without them, you can get to the Champions League. That is when I think as well, there is no room for a lack of criticism around Arteta and his approach, unless you have to sell loads to buy it. And it's true.
We're talking about,
no, I know. There'll always be people.
They'll blame the direction of the wind, those fans. Trust me.
Well, Ty has before anyway. Blame the rain, didn't he? It's been raining. But I just look at that business and it would be phenomenal. And I also don't think you should be looking to have too many. Again, Trossard. Again, that's where I look at Trossard's had a lot of criticism, but that's where I look at Trossard shouldn't be a first team player in a side trying to win Prems and Champions Leagues at the same time. He should be a supplementary part of the attack with the Sakas, the Isaks, the Rodrygos, the main guys, with your Martinellis and your Trossards and your Kai Havertz behind them. If that's your front six, if that makes sense, in terms of the players that come in and play, that's a front six that is, but it's on par with every other squad in Europe in terms of the overall depth and the peak quality. It's there, and that's what Arsenal now need to look to do. And you're in that privileged position. You're now announced today as the most profitable team in Premier League football history. You've got money coming out. Euros.
Do we get a trophy for that? Or?
Certificate from Kieran Maguire, a gold certifichet you get. But that would be phenomenal. Can you see, LB? Do you think Arsenal have got the whereabouts to go out and buy Rodrygo? Do you think they could do it or will do it?
I think they should try. I think, there's no shame of trying to get a player and getting rejected. Like, I've been having this conversation with my fan base about Wirtz. It's like, if you want top players, like I'm talking top level elite players, you're going to have to convince them to join your club. And sometimes they're not going to join your club because there's other top teams. And we all think our team's the greatest team. We all think everyone wants to play for our team. But the truth is, that's not true, right? And we get rejected. All our clubs have been rejected by players over the years, right? But Arsenal have to be over this deal. They need a quality left winger. Yeah. Obviously, Rodrygo looks like he wants to leave. The question is, what other teams are going to be in for it? Because I think if he's on the market, I think City should be looking at him. I think Liverpool should look at him. I think basically every team in the world should be looking at him, let's be honest. And he might look at Arsenal and go, if I could go City, why would I go Arsenal? You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Because Arsenal don't win anything. Like, it's one of them. But Arsenal just have to try. They have to try and get him in, man. If they could get him in and have, like Potsy said, and have Rodrygo, Gypkeres, and Saka as a front three, that's pretty disgusting, man. I can't even lie. That's pretty disgusting. So
but that's how easy and realistic it is, LB. When people say, "Oh, it's very hard to get this," but well, there's the opportunity. We missed out on Kvaratskhelia, right, for whatever reason. Maybe he was always going PSG, but you're right. We didn't even try. We didn't even try and show the ambition to go and at least put money in and go, look, I believe you're going PSG. We'll obviously pay you this as well. Do you fancy coming over to us? If the answer is no, I'm going to Paris, fine. But we tried, at least. We went in for it. Yeah, I want to see us go in for Rodrygo. If he picks City, if he goes over to the other side of Spain, whatever he does, he stays in Spain, stays at Madrid, we should try to do this, mate, because that would be an unbelievable front three for the next few years. We're absolutely fine. And there is no excuses about Arsenal not being able to score goals. Nobody starts talking about Arsenal's front men not being good enough. Mikel Arteta's got nowhere to hide, time to deliver. And to be honest, that team is good enough to win a trophy. Whether it's a Champions League, Premier League, or one of the domestics, it's winning a trophy. So that's what we've got to do, man, this summer. That's what Berta's got to do. And I'm not putting all the pressure on Berta, but that's what we brought him in for. So we've got to have some pressure on it. So for me, have that sort of summer.
Well, that's his job. That's where the pressure isn't on Arteta, because his job isn't to sign players.
That's right.
That's not the modern day manager's job. Like Pep, you hear all those old fashioned stories, and I'm sure your club has them as well, respectively. But Fergie would drive to the house of academy players that he wanted to sign, and drive to the house of football players he wanted to sign, or fly to other countries to meet them. I remember him doing that when we were trying to get David De Gea. That just doesn't happen anymore. I mean, I don't remember reading a story where it's like Pep was at the front door of a young kid in Newcastle convincing him to join the club. I haven't read that. And that's not because Pep's a bad manager. Managers just don't do that anymore. And I think that's where all of us need to not go, oh, my manager's got to go and get some players signed. It's not his job. That's where the Bertas of this world, the Wilcots and Baradas, who's the new guy at City? I forget his name from City.
Viana.
Yeah. I didn't realize this, that him and Ruben Amorim are like lifelong best mates as well, which is a nice little contrast. But that's their job. And if you don't sign the right players, that's on them. And I think modern day football, we're still in that old fashioned mentality of my manager made bad signings. Now, you do get some examples like Man United. We've given too much power to our managers in the last fucking 12 years. That's why we're fucked. Like, I wouldn't want someone actually put in a comment here earlier. Where has it gone? It's so interesting. It said I don't know where it is. It wasn't a super chat. That's why I didn't star it. I'm so sorry. I know here it is. It says, panel, why on earth did Arteta want Sesko over Gypkeres?
I don't get that one either. I've got to be honest. I think Gypkeres, as LB has pointed out, he's been absolutely banned. Look, Sesko might be good in a few years' time, but he's more of a project striker. I think Gypkeres is doing it now. I'm not saying Sesko isn't doing it now because I think he's got 17 or 18 goals this season. But when I look at it, I think Gypkeres is absolutely leaving him dead in the water. So that's the one they should have. And I think that's why it's good that Bert has come in and said, no, look, Sesko might be ready in a few years, but he ain't ready now. This is the guy we want. So hopefully that is the case.
I agree. Why is no one speaking about, how do you pronounce the guy's name? Is it Sloth?
Yeah, he's Atletico. Is he Atletico Madrid striker? Yeah, he's doing well, isn't he?
Did he score a 5-minute hat trick the other day?
Against Zubimendi, yeah, because I saw Hamza talking.
Oh, yeah, it was against Zubimendi, no?
Against Sociedad, you mean? Not Zubimendi. I love that.
No, it was against Zubimendi.
It was against just Zubimendi. That was all it was.
FC.
It's funny that now Man City and Liverpool fans are like, "Oh, that's Zubimendi's crap." But the other year they were twerking for him. It's like, you know, now
the game's the game, Potsy. You know what it's like.
Yeah, man. But come on, I
always
wonder he wasn't twerking for him, but I don't actually know how good he is. I still don't watch enough of Sociedad, but I hear good things. So.
Tempo here says Sesko crazy talented, so convinced someone needs to take a punt on the kid. 6'6", technical and superb ball striker, rare profile. Invest your stocks.
His ball striking is very good, I must say that. From when you look at it, you think, oh yeah, he can hit a football, but I'm not convinced that he is the guy ahead of Gypkeres. But mate, everyone's been wrong before. You know, you would have said like years ago, you would have said that, you know, certain so-and-so was nowhere near the level. He's gone boom. You know, I think, well, I never saw that coming. And then you could also say, go and get him. He's a baller. And then he comes to your club and he's rubbish. You've got to take risk on these guys. Otherwise you won't move forward, will you? You'll just stay still. You've got to go and take a risk sometimes.
Rodrygo has 1 goal in 2025. Another shiny toy.
Yeah, he's not, excuse me, he's not been great of late. Wasn't good against us either, if I'm honest. But maybe it's because he's unhappy. Maybe he's unsettled. Maybe he's not working for him at the moment. He needs a move. I don't know.
Bro, he's a good player, man. Like, what we're doing here.
He certainly is. Let's not pretend like Real Madrid haven't had problems with balance all year. He's being played out of his preferred position. He's very, very talented indeed. Do you guys think it's too big a step for Alonso going to Real Madrid?
I don't think it's too big a step, but I do think he'll get sacked at the end of next season because Real Madrid are brutal. If they don't win the league or they win a Champions League, he will get sacked. That's just how it works. So I think it's harsh to say he's not ready because I think he's done brilliantly at Bayer Leverkusen, but I don't hold much hope for him, if I'm honest. I know what you think, LB, but
sorry to say, I have no idea. I have no idea if it's going to work or not. I don't know. Could work, might not work.
Yeah, I look at it a little bit like it's either going to be out of this world. He's going to make them balanced. They're going to tick. They're going to, because there's no real structure to that side. And I know that we're all a bit bored of teams being robots, but there's got to be an element of structure, to a baseline to start from. It's either going to go really well, but if some of those players at Madrid go, I ain't fucking tracking back here. I'm not running that. I'm not doing that dog work. If that's the attitude of anybody there, he's fucked. It just won't work. It just won't work. It's as simple as that. I will not be surprised if Chelsea get Champions League football and beat Arsenal to Gypkeres. People forget he is part of the Chelsea transfer list, as reported by Matt Law and Ben Jacobs a few weeks ago.
I'd be amazed if he chose Chelsea over Arsenal.
Chelsea will go for him, I think, as well. I've always believed that, but I'd like to think we're in a better position. It's just broke on Sky Sports and Carver as well, saying that Liam Delap is favourites to go Man United. So that looks like that might happen now. That's going to probably happen. And that is quite funny. That is quite funny. If he has rejected Chelsea for Man United, that is quite funny, if I'm honest.
It's one of those things. I'm not in the mood to slag anyone off, but that's not where we are. I just hope it fucking works if we get him. Just sick and tired of not signing again. And maybe it's because I remember it. The amount of times in my life I've seen Man United sign attackers. You know, I've seen attackers come to this team and do what Dwight York did. We signed a young man, same age as me, 18, all the hype in the world on him, bagged a hat-trick in his debut in a Champions League debut game. I just want something like that where I go, fucking hell, we signed a good one. Like we had it with Bruno, to be fair, where we signed him and we were like, oh, I've got a good player here. it's been so few and far between in the last 12 years. We have signed a player that you're excited about. You've watched them play and gone, fucking hell, he's good. It's rare for us, mate. Honestly, it's so rare for Man United. But yeah, I don't think Chelsea could. The one thing with Chelsea is they've got a track record over 20 years of signing players that you don't expect them to or ahead of other people. But I think Arsenal will get it done. I can't imagine.
Arsenal's so far ahead of Chelsea in terms of where they are as a football club right now. That, like, why would he choose Chelsea over Arsenal? Like, what reasons?
Not according to Don. Not according to Don.
Well, what's Don saying?
No, as in terms of like he thinks Chelsea are like right next to Arsenal. And he said actually on the chat earlier.
He just realised that they're in the Conference League and you guys got to a Champions League final.
Yeah, semi-final. But yeah, he is.
I actually didn't mean that, Rose.
Trying to big us up a bit more there. No, but he did say. I think Lourdes. He said to Lourdes that if they get a striker and a goalkeeper, they can go and win the title. That's what Don said earlier. So I think he thinks they are close to Arsenal. Look, they are not miles away from us. I'm not saying that. I disagree. I don't think they're miles away because I still think we've got a lot of work to do. But we are definitely ahead of them. Like, let's just not even like try and debate that. We are not miles ahead of quite a few teams, if I'm honest. If you look at the table, however, when you look at our squad, I think we've got less pieces to put in it than Chelsea have. Chelsea have got a long way to go, in my opinion, still. But Delap though, I really thought he would have chose Chelsea over United. I'm actually quite shocked by that. I really did not see that coming. I thought he was guaranteed to go to Chelsea out of the two. So we've discussed that, but yeah.
This year says, why would he want to go? Why would he want to go to City? Rodrygo would be the face of Arsenal. If he goes there, all eyes would be on him, just like Alexis Sanchez was.
Yeah, LB, come on. Why would he want to go to your dusty club?
I don't know. Maybe something called trophies might interest him. You know what I mean? Something that Arsenal haven't seen for 5 years.
Are you winning one this year?
I hope so, bro. It'll be tough.
Come on, D. Come on, D. Come on, D and Palace. Let's go.
I can't lie. I want Palace. I get annoyed by D, but it'd just be quite funny for City not to win a trophy. But you know,
it's a tough game, man. Could be tough, but yeah, I reckon we can do it.
They're playing well, man. They're a good side, you know. I like them, Palace. I rate them.
They are good. They are a good side. Well, we got to go and win that, man. We got to win it, man.
You play like you did against Southampton, you'd be squeaky bum time, mate.
I know. See what team he puts out. But yeah, basically trophies. Alberto is the answer to that.
You guys are linked to. I did read a report yesterday on Sky that you guys have got a verbal agreement with Leverkusen for Wirtz. What's going on with Wirtz?
Oh, mate. So this is so mad, bro. Like, news broke before we went live, actually. So I think what happened was, I think his preference is probably to go to Bayern Munich, yeah. But Leverkusen are desperate not to sell him to Bayern Munich. So the reports are that they'll sell him to anybody else outside of Germany for 100 million euros, which is 85 million quid. But for Bayern Munich, it's 150 million euros. So apparently he's sort of like agreed terms to go to Bayern Munich. But Bayern Munich are obviously getting nowhere near the 150. So I think what City have done is basically put the cards on the table for Wirtz, agreed the fee with Leverkusen, and then basically it's up to, if Bayern Munich don't pay the 150, Wirtz has got a decision. Does he stay at Leverkusen for another year and then go Bayern Munich next year, or does he just come to City now? And
that's mad, bro. I didn't know this. That's mad.
Yeah, literally it's just come out. And then Christian Falk's just gone live and said basically, yeah, like City are still alive here. Like this is not as done deal as people was making it out like it was last week.
You've got to get him, bro, because if your next target is Morgan Gibbs-White, that is a huge drop off, bro. This Wirtz is an absolute baller. I think he's quality, mate. Absolutely quality.
He's a quality player, man. But obviously, apparently his mum and dad are his agents. And I don't like it when they have family as their agents. But his mum and dad are desperate for him to stay in Germany. But I think City have just done what would the club have to do. That's what I was saying with Arsenal with Rodrygo before. Is we put our cards on the table. We've apparently spoken to Pep multiple times, and now it's just a case of, does he want to come or does he want to wait for Bayern Munich? Or will
if you get Wirtz and Reinders, I'm genuinely going to tip you to win the league next season. if you get them 2 signings, that will transform the whole of your move. Because Rodri back as well.
Yeah,
I think you will. I think you will cook, mate. That Reinders is unreal, by the way. Absolutely ridiculously good. If you get them 2, City will be back.
I want Reinders, man. I think he's a guy's a top baller. You know?
He's so good,
top player. He's apparently available for like 60 mil as well. He's only 26.
That's the one I want, man. He's an absolute.
Yeah. There's a lot of players available this year for quite good fees, if that makes sense. There's quite a few, if that makes sense. There's quite a few in the sense of you got like Delap at 30 million, Cunha 60. Zubimendi was like 40-50 million. Reinders, as you mentioned, there's lots of players with buyout clauses or kind of verbal agreements to leave for pretty considerable prices, if that makes sense. You know, like, because I reckon if Gypkeres didn't have the verbal agreement, you're looking at 120. Do you know what I'm saying? But you guys can get him for almost half of that, which is crazy.
Yeah, imagine if you would have said you could get Wirtz for 85 million quid. I mean, that's just insane, really.
You agree that will be, if you get them 2, you tip yourself to win the league as well, yeah?
Yeah, obviously it depends on the fullbacks and depends on the goalkeeper because we're getting a new goalkeeper.
Are you getting that Costa?
I don't know, man. We've been linked with a few, you know. I'm not sure.
Quality.
Yeah, we've been linked with Costa. We've been linked with this. Is it called Juan Garcia or something?
Yeah, that's who we're linked with, the Espanyol goalkeeper.
Yeah, but we've been linked with him.
I think it's Joan. I think it's pronounced Joan, as in like old lady Joan.
Joan, yeah, I thought it was Joan Garcia.
I thought it was Joan. I've heard some say Joan. I've heard some say Juan. I'm not too sure though. If anyone's Spanish who's watching, let us know how you would pronounce. Because my nan's name, God rest my nan's soul, her name was Joan.
Yeah. So we've been linked with a couple goalkeepers.
He's linked to come to us as our backup though. I don't know if he's number 1, but maybe he is. I don't know.
Yeah, we've got linked with Liverpool, but apparently Newcastle ain't selling. We've been linked with this right back from Flamengo called Wesley. Livermento,
wasn't it? Livermento, I see.
Yeah, but we're not going to get him. So I think we're going to get this Brazilian right back called Wesley from Flamengo, and then this Cambiasso guy at Juventus. So yeah.
We've had the tweet. We had the super chat of the day, boys.
Go on.
According to any Aluko, Bayern Munich have asked City to bid.
Hey, did you see the clip of what's his name? It's the Irish guy that used to play for you.
Hey? Oh, Roy Keane.
Yeah, Roy Keane. Did you see it when he said
so good. So good.
When he says,
absolute
have you not seen the clip? No.
Yeah,
my God, it's fucking hilarious. Because you know how any wait a sec. Was it her? Yeah, who said that about
Ian Wright.
About Wright.
Yeah, so she said that about Ian Wright, which is a mad take, right? And then is that woman called Jill Scott?
Jill Scott.
Yeah, Jill Scott's on the overlap, yeah.
So Jill Scott goes on they're doing this podcast, right? And then Jill Scott goes, I don't really do too much commentary for women's football. And Roy Keane straight away, without any weight, goes, oh, is it his fault again? Like, and he points at Ian's right, man. Yeah, that's crazy, man. She's off her head, man. I can't even lie to any Aluko, man. I don't know what she's doing, man. I don't know why she's just out to make enemies or something. I don't get it.
Awful, man. Awful takes.
I know Ian Wright sort of. I was about to make a video about that because I was really pissed off with the way she spoke about Wrighty. But then Wrighty released his video and basically said I don't want any more like social commentary on it. And I thought, do you know what? I'm going to respect that Ian Wright has said like leave it where it is. I thought that was the right thing to do. But it was just a case of one. It's Ian Wright, and this man has done so much for women's football. Whether you watch it, I watch it, everybody else watches it or not. I watch some women's football. I don't watch loads of it. Nothing to do with them being women. It's a time thing. I don't have the time to watch too much more. But Ian Wright's done so much for the game. He is just the wrong target on every single level. But even then, this notion of you've got a job and you've stopped somebody else who deserves it getting a job. I don't like that accusation in any direction, no matter what's going on. I think it's an horrendous way to behave. You know, there is no proof of any of this stuff. It's just vile. And I don't wish harm on anyone. And that isn't what I'm suggesting here. But I do feel glad that professionally she has had her comeuppance. You know, I've worked with people like that in the past. when I was in the banking world that would consistently and for no reason just keep filing grievances against people or spreading rumors about people. And it was always justifying. It's always kind of satisfying, and justified the day they got their comeuppance. And actually, they lost their job for gross misconduct because it was proven what they said was wrong as an example. And yeah, just horrendous. By the way, I didn't even think she was that bad a pundit. All this, like, there was all those like funny videos of her saying silly things, but all pundits do. We all do it. Earlier on today, when I streamed with Goldbridge, I said that you can't take a water to a horse, right? We all slip, our tongue slips when we speak, right? It's normal. I didn't even mind her punditry, but it's those kind of attacks where I just think, why are you going after Ian Wright for? What's this man done? Of all people, yeah, wrong. She's got to come up and there we go. But yeah, Bayern maybe got asked by City. I guess 115 is settled. No punishment, I think.
Yeah, that's gone well quiet, man. Is that done now then? You're all right.
It's fucking boring, isn't it?
It is boring, but that's
it
done.
ain't.
It'll be fun.
Well, it won't be when the announcement comes out. Either direction, it is going to be crazy.
You're going to be fine though, right, LB?
I have no idea if we're going to be fine. I've not seen the fucking evidence. All I would say is the club are moving in a way that suggests they're going to be fine. They spent £200 million in January. They spent £400 million on the stadium, and now we're being linked with Wirtz, Rodrygo, and every other quality player under the sun. So, would you really do that if you think they'll be kicked out of the league? Probably not. But who knows? It could be one big bluff. So no one knows what's going on. We just got to wait for the outcome, man. But boring, man. They got to find a way of making these things quicker, innit? Because this is dragging on, man. In fairness,
I get your point. It's dragged on because of your club, though. Your club they've been advised to by their lawyers, but for 5 years they've been dragging. You guys are
defending ourselves, mate.
No, I hear you. But when you say find a way to speed it
false
up,
allegations against us, bro. We could get locked up here, man.
But the only way to speed it up would be to remove the due process that enabled you to delay it,
which you can't do. So yeah, it is tiring. But I'm looking forward to the verdict. The verdict's going to be fun.
I think you'll get non-compliance fines. That'll be it. That's what I think you'll get.
Yeah, I felt. Man. Yeah, it'll be interesting. I've actually found that clip, by the way. I went and found it while you man were talking. It's going to upload in a second. I want to see it. The Eni Aluko one.
That's the thing I wouldn't do. Size players, no problem. Managers, because I've been there and I've done it. No, I know how hard it is.
I find it hard. I don't do many of the women's games and stuff because I'm
because of Ian.
No.
Right, we're here. We're finished. That's one thing I wouldn't do.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Great time in there. Dan, who are you rooting for? Who are you rooting for? Us or Spurs?
Joshua, you must. Manchester United must win the Europa League. There is no way I can stand Tottenham Hotspur fans going mental about winning the Europa League.
Tottenham not going to win it, bro. I mean, I'm desperate, bro, for Spurs to win this thing, yeah. But Spurs don't win nothing, man. Yeah, they don't win anything. And whenever you need to rely on Spurs to do you a favour, Spurs don't do you a favour. That's just the truth, yeah. This is a club that's allergic to trophies. They sacked the manager the last time they went to a final, and is
it more embarrassing to lose a final to Spurs? LB.
Oh, if United lose the final to Spurs, that is horrific, but it's not going to happen. United will win that.
I think Man United will stink it, and I hope they stink it. But if they lose that, wow, might have to be hammer them out, because that is just a disgrace. That just can't happen, man.
I know. It would actually be pretty interesting to see what United fans say about hammering if they lose that final, because his league form is absolutely dead. It's only the Europa League, which is
just crazy.
Not a joy.
If he wins this game, he beats Sir Alex Ferguson's record of most wins and fastest to a European trophy since joining the club. Equally, that's the opposite to what his his league form is like. It's the dichotomy in that is crazy. Wenger was in Mbappe's house trying to get him to sign. Yeah, Wenger's from that era where managers did all that work. Did
Mbappe know Wenger was in his house?
The old song. There's only
is that what you doing here? Get out my house, lad.
You couldn't sing that song. Do you know how you know the world's changed? Everyone used to sing that song. It used to wind Arsenal fans up, but nobody ever used to try and report you to the police. Nowadays, you'd probably get arrested for that song. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. It is crazy. But I didn't realize the other day you can be arrested for singing "Feed the Scousers." They say it's like poverty mocking. And my only question back to it is, you obviously see none of us can say the N word, and rightfully so. But if I'm from a poor background, why can't I poverty mock? I'm so intrigued by it. No, is that fair? I'm working. I grew up on a council estate.
I'm not sure if that's how it works, bro.
No, hang on. No, let's have it right. Let's have this right. How can I say this? If you're a black man and you drop the N-bomb, you're not getting arrested, right? And it's deemed socially, generally speaking, it's socially acceptable. Yeah. If you're gay and you tell a joke that's derogatory towards homosexuals, will you get arrested? Will you get in trouble?
Probably not.
No. So I'm a scummer. I'm a povo. I am from a council estate. Why can't I mock other British people that are also povos?
That is funny.
Why? I want to know. Povos. Why can't I mock povos?
Povos. Bro, what?
Why?
If you're a homeless man, you can make another joke.
No, it's not homeless people. No, because I'm not mocking homeless people, right? Because I'm not mocking because I'm not homeless. But if I was without a home, surely it would be socially acceptable for me to mock it. I thought that's the way it works. Like, I don't believe in the punching down thing because I see all people as equal. But I'm just going with the social. I'm just a bit confused why that is getting people. I never knew that was a criminal offense, and I
didn't know that. I
don't get it.
It just made me laugh when you said povos. Just made me laugh.
I don't. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, by the way, I get the mocking disasters. I do get that. Right, that's wrong on every level. But I don't know. I just want to understand the rationale, and I want to get it. I get if you're like some upper class toff who wears red chinos and yellow socks, you shouldn't do it because you're privileged. I'm a povo. You're a povo. I can call you a povo. Let us know in the comments section. What I'm going to get arrested later now, aren't I? That's what's going to happen. Someone's going to turn up my house and arrest me. In this country's fucked. Do you guys? Sorry, already done that super chat there. It's not the Liverpool board. Contracts have been offered, but Konate is after a massive jump in money. We'll pay it because it does appear. So there was rumours that the English clubs were going to get Dean Howson. Spain are now pushing that Howson is going to go to Real Madrid, and then they're going to go for Konate next summer. So if that's the case, Liverpool got to sell Konate now. Trying to buy for him now.
Hopefully they get Howson, Konate, all these guys, and they don't need Saliba. That's what I hope. That'd be lovely.
Well, if they get Howson and they're unlikely to go for him. Big news about Liverpool today. What do you make of? Again, I didn't realize this player was connected to City until I was reading about it yesterday, or maybe I forgot. But supposedly close to agreeing a deal for Frimpong.
Yeah. Good price, good player. Homegrown. If Liverpool have any problems with homegrown, I don't know if they do. Pretty sure he's homegrown now, because he was in our academy. Yeah, solid player, man. Mad attacking. Like, you'll see him more as like a right winger and that, which would allow Salah to push in more infield, get him closer to the goal. But yeah, not a bad replacement for Trent, I don't think. I think with him and Bradley, I think they've got a nice little duo there. You know, two players that are different, but both good players. I think that's a pretty good duo. You want to be maybe a bit more defensively solid, or you don't want your full-back bombing forward as much. Play Conor Bradley. You play in a team at home where you can dominate the ball, low block, whack Frimpong on and just tell him to cook down the right side. So, and it's cheap. So yeah, I think it's a solid move. Why not?
Look, I think it's a really good signing. If I'm honest, I think Liverpool fans would probably say that's the number one choice they want after Trent going, if I'm honest. So for me, I think that's a really good signing. I don't know how much it is, and I'm not quite sure.
It's like 35 mil, bro. It's got a release cost.
That's a steal, isn't it? That's a steal. Let's be honest. They're getting that. Look, they're not going to replace Trent Alexander-Arnold. I doubt they'll replace his set pieces and his assists and his kind of influence on the team and how pivotal he's been for Liverpool in the last 5 or 6 years. But I will say that Frimpong has been phenomenal for Leverkusen, and he's been very interested in terms of getting forward. Defensively, I've got to say I question it. I don't know if he can defend. I've not seen it. I don't watch Bundesliga, but I think Liverpool fans would be very happy with that because let's be real, Liverpool, to be honest, they probably do need to sign a couple of players. but I don't think they're desperate for 5, 6, 7 like the majority of the others are. Like Man City, like genuinely do need, like in my opinion, 5 or 6 players, as do Arsenal, as do Chelsea. United probably need double that, some would say. So there's a lot of the Premier League sides that need sort of 5+ players. I'm not sure that Liverpool do, if I'm honest. I think maybe a creative midfielder and a 9, and they might look at their fullback situation. But other than that, I think they're pretty much sorted, to be fair. So I don't think Liverpool can say they don't score goals. They don't look balanced in midfield, and defensively they're poor. They've got pretty much strong departments in every area. So I think if they was to look at upgrading on Robertson, replacing Trent, it looks like they have with Frimpong, they get the left back, which I think will probably be Gypkeres. And let's be real, if you're going to look at replacing Trent and Robertson with Gypkeres and Frimpong, they definitely go that way very, very well. And that's forwards. And then I think a creative midfielder, because I think Szoboszlai, as much as he's improved a bit, I'm not too sure that I think they can upgrade that position. And I still think they can get better than Jota, because Jota's a really good finisher, but he's hardly ever fit, is he? And he's had a poor season this season, he by standards. So, yeah, I think maybe 4 players for Liverpool, and I think they'll be really good next season. Really good.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, excellent. I think an excellent piece of business if they get it over the line and they get it done. Viewers, I want to thank you all for tuning in. Really do appreciate it. Thank you all for hitting the like button. Make sure you're all subscribing to the Football Terrace. Very, very important that you do that. This video is going to redirect you somewhere, I assume. I don't know. I never set these up. Pretty Judge Mo, he's live. Go support him. Potsy, you guys live later?
I am at 8 p.m. this evening. And I had a show just dropped on Ornstein's News of Arsenal, so I've just dropped that now. And then, show tonight at 8 p.m. on 12th Man. Hit 40k yesterday, which I'm really pleased
Congratulations.
about. So
yes, I saw that. I forgot, but well done, mate. 40k. Brilliant work.
Man. Appreciate that. And thank you boys as well, and everyone in the chat. And that'll be me, 12th Man.
Lovely. Listen, everyone who's tuned in, thank you. Take care. Goodbye and God bless. And us povos will see you later. Peace.